Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Today Matters, our short devotional on the Word of God. I'm Pastor Jason Sneddon, and it is great to be with you here today. Let me ask you this. Have you ever held a grudge against someone? An honest answer would be an emphatic yes. Have you noticed how that grudge can actually turn into bitterness and then resentment and then anger? In fact, so deep that the anger has taken over and all you can do is focus on that person. The old saying goes, people are people. So I'll ask you this question. Why would we allow one person to have so much control over our life and over our emotions? But we do it all the time. And there is a solution. It's simply this. Don't hold grudges because they're only self-defeating. Hebrews 12:14 and 15 says, "Make every effort to live in peace with everyone and to be holy. Without holiness, no one will see the Lord. See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many." A right relationship with God results in right relationships with others. Take the ivy plant, for example. The smallest root of an ivy plant can overtake and kill an entire tree that's 100 years old in just a few short years. That 100-year-old tree stood strong its entire life, but once the ivy rooted, its life was over. You could call it a bitter root. And the root formed from nursing grudges over past hurts. The worst part is many times that grudge is based on a misconception of the actual truth. We conceive something, we get offended, and the root becomes strong. And so often we're holding this grudge that we can hardly even recall what it was about. However, just think about this. What if we were to cut those roots back? What if we look back and tried to recall what actually caused it? And what if we took it a step further and approached the person we have a grudge with and in love? Yes, I just said that, in love. So many times when we've been offended by someone, the offender is also the offended. Have we taken a step back to see that we may have hurt someone else too? The Bible calls us to pray for those and forgive. And through that, we may also be forgiven, just as Jesus did for us. And guess what? If anyone has a reason to hold a grudge, it's Jesus. But you most definitely will not find that in the Bible. In fact, he is the one who turned the other cheek. And in Matthew 18:21 and 22, Peter asked Jesus how many times he should forgive somebody that sins against him. 7 times? What did Jesus say to that? He actually gave us a math lesson and said you should forgive them 70 times, 7 times. According to my math, and that's not my strong suit, that's about 490 times. And honestly, as people, we don't forgive others after they've offended us 490 times, let alone 7 times. But that number wasn't even the equation. That wasn't real. He was trying to tell us that forgiveness is limitless, and he's shown it to us as well. I'm sure we've all sinned more than 70 times, 7 times, but we are still forgiven, aren't we? So recall what our example of forgiveness was, and then think about this. What if we were to actually take that root and cut it close to the ground? What if we took a chance and forgave the person? Now we can do that in our heart, and 2 things will happen. First, the vine that's growing up the tree will die off since it isn't being fed by water. Second, though, if the root is only cut at the ground, it'll find its way up the tree again. Now, I realize this isn't always a possibility, but what if we were to pull the root out of the ground and seal the end? Not only will the vine on the tree die, so will the root on the ground. And that's what can happen if we do what we're called to do and confront the problem in love. Wouldn't it feel good to stop feeding the root and instead put an end to it? And we never know in what amazing ways God will work in our life until we do what he says. We're called to love others as we love ourselves. And that means forgiving, even if it means praying for them. So let's get to the root of the problem. Let's kill it before it takes our life over. We've got to have peace with ourselves to pursue peace with others. And this first comes from God's peace. Once we have all that, the rest will follow. So join me today in seeking out the peace that we can only find in him. God bless and have an amazing day.